Begin. Welcome back and good morning. Good morning from Switzerland. My name is Andrea and I am the founder of Corpo Giardino yoga practices, where I support passion-driven women, high energy women to create and sustain balance in the long term. Why it's important to sustain? Because in that way we can have a balanced and sustainable lifestyle, and we can keep nourishing this balance sensation and this balance approach in our day-to-day life. I always say that as women, we can't afford to be always exhausted anymore. And we don't want to be always exhausted anymore. We can't afford to burn out because we have too many things to juggle in our day-to-day life. We can't afford that because the world needs us out there. The world needs really our capacity, our brilliant skills, our talent out there. And in the Corpo Giardino, by applying yoga tools daily and following the wisdom of nature, we can create and sustain this balance in the long term. Nature is guiding us and is teaching us this every day. And today we talk about an important tool to navigate stressful situation, an important tool to keep breathing, even if it's a bit of uncomfortable, to keep breathing, even if we are in an uncertain and unknown situation. And I'm talking about resilience, inner, specifically. Today we're going to tap and discover what is inner resilience and how we can build and nourish inner resilience on the mat and off the mat. Inner resilience is defined by the American Psychological Association as the ability to adapt well in the face of adversity. And this phase of adversity can be anything from a stressful situation, can be from trauma, tragedy, chronic stress, burnout, etc. The ability to adapt well in the face of adversity. What does it mean? What does it really mean? It means the ability to bounce back, to learn how to stay in that stressful situation and to keep breathing, knowing that it will pass, knowing that we have an internal and external support that can guide us and support us in that specific situation. And often, inner resilience can be kind of misunderstood for toughness and having a thick skin, which this is my personal opinion, and please take it that way. For me, toughness is not being resilient. Toughness is just, it's like superficial tension. In my 20s, I used to be very tough. I consider myself a tough woman in my 20s. And toughness, to be tough, it's, as I said, a superficial tension. And the most of the time, at least what was doing for me, it was covering and protecting a part of myself that was very unsure and with a low self-esteem, very delicate and very fragile. So I had to bring this, I had to create this thick skin and toughness around me and walls also around me to be able to protect that part, that delicate part of myself. Toughness is not inner resilience, at least in Corpo Giardino. In Corpo Giardino yoga practices, when we talk about inner resilience, is the ability to keep breathing even if we are in an unknown and uncertain situation. The ability to find the strength inside of us and to learn that inside of us we have a supportive system always available for us. The problem is that we forget. And a classic example on how we can build inner resilience on the mat when we practice yoga is, if you practice yin yoga, you know what I'm going. If you don't know yin yoga, it's a more passive way of, it's a passive-based yoga style where we can target at the same time fascia and connective tissues and also Chinese meridian. So it's a very deep work, and we stay in the position from 2 to 5 minutes. It depends what we're doing. So, for example, if I am practicing a position that I know it's complex and it's kind of challenging and intense for me, exactly there, I know that I have the capacity and the possibility to build up my inner resilience. Because after 2 minutes, 3 minutes, when my mind starts to spin around and my mind starts a drama inside my head say, you can't stay here any longer. Why are we here? I don't know why this is so uncomfortable for me. If I can stay a bit longer and if I know how to concentrate my mind on my breath, I can arrive to my physical limit of the position, breathe there, respect them. So don't overcome my limits, but respect them and ask myself, can I stay here one breath more? If the answer is yes, probably the body will open up a bit more. And your limits, they're going to move forward and forward and forward. The other important thing that we can learn on the mat is if when we ask ourselves, can I stay here a bit longer? If the answer is no, that's amazing because we are building and we are discerning the ability to get out of a situation that's probably hurting us. And this is the difference between cultivating inner resilience, which is the ability to adapt well in the situation of stress, like water, and the ability to understanding that situation is probably hurtful for us, if we are in danger, or it's unhealthy for us to stay there, and we need to get out of that. And of course, when we face difficult situation, like a source of stress, or a tragedy or a trauma, in a situation when we can't really control what's going on, I think we need a balance between external and internal support. Healthy external support is calling out a good friend, is calling out a member of our family that we can rely on. Seek for professional help, right? This is external, and this is part of the journey. This is part of the journey of resilience, because we realize that we can't do everything by ourselves, that we are not supposed to walk alone in this journey called life, that we can ask and we are allowed to ask for help when it's needed. And this is a pattern that I see especially in women, but I would say also men in another way. But for my experience as a woman, and for my students, and for my friends that I can see, we have this capacity, we have this belief that we have to do everything by ourselves, that we have to manage different parts of our life, to be a family, a career, and or friendship, and I don't know, something by ourselves. That if we ask for help, we are perceived as weak. And that's a very dangerous, limiting belief. That's a very dangerous, limiting belief. We're not supposed to walk alone in this journey called life. We are not supposed to do everything by ourselves. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for it. For example, my biggest learning curve regarding resilience and stamina is my expat experience. It's my expat journey. When I moved here in Switzerland, later I know how complex and challenging and intense this situation would be. And when I started to observe that I was going in unhealthy pattern and that my yoga practice was not really enough. I needed an external support. I called back my therapist, Luigi. If you're watching, thank you. I called back my therapist and I started again sessions with him because I knew I needed support, external support, an external approach, an external point of view, somebody to talk to, a professional. But at the same time, we can nourish and cultivate, like a garden, our internal support systems. Before I started practicing yoga, before I started also going to therapy, I never heard about internal support system and internal resources. We all have these resources. Is that we are mainly disconnected by it because we are distracted from our day-to-day life, from our doing part, our managing our day in a kind of minute by minute. That's a huge disconnection factor to our inner resources and inner support system. So to be able to reconnect with ourselves and our inner landscape and our inner resources, we need to release tensions from our day-to-day life and cultivate a practice that shifts our gaze inward, like yoga does, right? And for me, I defined and I found three main pillars of my inner resilience and inner strength. So when I have a regular practice, regular and committed practice, I can then cultivate three mainly resources to face adversity. And these three mainly resources are: number one, the courage to be present with what I'm feeling and speaking out my truth. The courage to be present and the courage to say that the situation maybe is overwhelming, that I'm in pain maybe because maybe the situation is a tragedy or a trauma, that I'm angry, and the courage to stay connected to my feelings, share it with the persons around me, and speak out my truth. Because when we do that, we acknowledge ourselves as we are in that specific situation, without putting on an armor and begin to fight with ourselves and in the external world and the external situation. I found a very interesting visualization for inner resilience from Mind Valley, and if I find again the YouTube video, I will share it with you. This this meditation teacher, was telling us, imagine that you are in a valley and you want to reach out and to reach a mountain, but to get to the mountain you need to walk around rivers, and you need to pass through a woods that maybe has some fog in it, and we need to we don't know if there are animals around. The inner resilience is the ability to find the way through these obstacles without getting angry at the obstacles. Because A, we can't control it. B, life happens to us, and we can't avoid this situation. We can't live without obstacles in our life. The second pillar that I found extremely important, and I always talk about it, always concerning the yoga off the mat part, is the ability to get in contact with my needs and understand what I need to do, the actions that I need to take to meet my needs. This is something that I learned from nonviolent communication from the late Marshall Rosenberg. Nonviolent communication is, of course, a tool to learn how to not only speak to others, but mainly speak to yourself, because the way you speak to yourself is basically. The way you speak to others is a reflection in the way you speak to yourself. And an important part of this is to get in contact with our feelings. So it's connected to pillar number 1. And based on what we're feeling, understanding what we need and what can we do to meet our needs, what's the strategy we need to put in place to meet our needs. And if we're able to do that, if we're able to get in contact with feeling and needs, then I believe we can really face any sort of adversity, because we are aligned with what we're feeling and what we need, and we ask for it. We live in a needless society. How many times did you think, how many times did you hear around you, I don't need anything in my life. I'm fine. I'm completely fine. I'm an easygoing person. I don't need anything. I was in that space, and later I know that I need stuff. First of all, I need, for example, I need water and I need food to survive, right? That's a basic need. But I also need to be safe. I need to rest. I need to play. I need to express myself. All of these are needs. And if we don't pay attention to what is going on inside, we are not in contact with our needs. And we don't see our needs, and we prioritize needs of others in our day-to-day life. And I hear this a lot from women. And I could see that myself in my behavior. And that's why we need to begin a revolution, which is a need revolution, to understand that we have needs and we need to respect them. The third, which is very difficult. All of these three pillars are very challenging. The third pillar is keep breathing, learning how to keep breathing in unknown and in uncertain situation. Again, we can't control what happens around us. We can't control what other people do. We can't control what the situation is we have to face. We can't absolutely not control that. What we can do is to keep breathing, of course, even if we don't know how this situation is going to evolve, even if we are facing uncertainty and unknown. And again, if we go back to the example of Yin Yoga is a master teacher for us to learn how to trust in stillness, when we are still, when we are silent, when we are reaching maybe our limit, our physical limit of the body, and keep breathing there. And I again repeat this one more time. It's something else understanding that situation or that position is hurting us or is causing us pain, and it's danger for us. It's unhealthy. That means that we overcame the limits, that we didn't stop in our boundaries, but we overcame the limits when it was not the time or when it was danger for us because we didn't listen to ourselves. Again, these are too many different things. And then my question for you, after I talked a lot, my question for you, if you're watching the live or if you're watching the replay, go back with your memory when you had to face a very difficult situation and adversity. What were your three main pillars of inner strength and inner resilience that you could rely on to face that adversity. Because the most of the time we think we can't. We can't survive grief. We can't survive trauma. We can't survive that. We can't survive this. We can't survive a stressful situation at work. We can't survive the breakup of a relationship. But if we give ourselves time and we reconnect to our inner resources and our inner power, we can. We have so many resources inside of us, but they need to be nourished. They need to be cultivated so that they can grow, they can bloom, they can flourish like a garden. If we don't do anything about it, our internal garden is a bit dry. And there are so many things. That's why I called my yoga company Corpo, Giardino, which are two Italian words. They mean garden and body, because with these tools, we can grow, we can nourish our inner landscape and bloom. And when we bloom, we are able to face any type of adversity with grace, with elegance, and with stamina, building up stamina. So for today, it was this my conversation around inner resilience. I hope I stimulate in the students that are watching a reflection of what it means inner resilience, what it means inner resilience for you. How are you experiencing the fact of building up resilience on your mat, on your daily mat, and what can you do with even more to build up resilience on your mat? And again, if you have time right now, take your journal and write down your three main pillars, the three main support systems you have inside. You have. Maybe you will discover something else in the future and with a practice like yoga. Who knows? And I have a surprise for you, as I said in the event, because I created a 10 minutes meditation about inner resilience. It's mainly for the students inside my mailing list, but if you wanted to receive it and be part of my mailing list, of course, you can send me directly your email. You can write it down in comment, or you can send me a private message or an email to info@corpogiardino.ch, but I will write everything in this post. And it's that meditation that I'm sharing with you helped me so much in my toughest and most difficult situation I had to face, where I really thought I can't stand this situation anymore. I can't. But I did. I learned how to breathe. I learned how to take care of myself. I learned how to understanding and feeling my needs. And the most important part, I was speaking up my truth and asking a request regarding my need, or putting in action a strategy regarding my need. So if you have questions around this topic, you can write a question right now in the comment section, or you can, again, ask me a question and I will reply it into the stories. So yeah, I'm here for you. I'm completely committed to support you in this journey called life as a superwoman, passion-driven woman, high-energy woman who is trying to make an impact in any way and form in the world, in your community, in your family, in your workplace, with your work, and needs more balance in the long term, because we can do it. I wish a beautiful rest of the day and rest of the week. And for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have a break. I'm going to visit my family in Italy. So it's just family takeoff time. But of course, I will be a bit around, but for the most of the time, I will try to make a detox from social media. So again, have a beautiful, beautiful day and rest of the week. See you soon. Bye.